For the first time in a Relatable Journey history, we have a two-parter. That's how good and how funny John Crist is. If you don't know the name, you definitely have seen his videos on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it might be. The man is everywhere. But at one point, he was in rehab because of his struggles. He was canceled, but now he's back. He's bigger than ever, and his comeback story lies in God. His faith was so helpful and so powerful for that comeback story. It is a story that only he can tell you. So enjoy part one of this episode of A Relatable Journey.
The first 3 weeks of rehab is they call like a blackout period. So there's no phone calls, no getting mail, no nothing. See, and I went in and the height of just being absolutely crushed publicly everywhere. First time I ever had a viral video is the first time I ever started being canceled. It was probably 10 years ago. I was like a good kid. I still am. Mm-hmm. Hey, there's nothing you could possibly say to me that would make me feel more worse than I already have about myself. When the Falcons lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots,
that's an emotional.
But listen, that was a real depression.
Yeah.
It wasn't it was real, and I was heavy for. I was emailing people from my childhood. There's local sports guys from Atlanta that I message. I was I'm going through a tough time. And
what did you say to him?
I was my best friend, Isaac, he wrote a handwritten letter to Dan Quinn. Wrote him a letter. To be
how
hey,
dare you?
No, hey, we support you. It's tough. But why?
Well,
why would he do that?
I think that's a good person. That's empathy. That's decency.
But
versus fanatic.
you were watching that game and you were so oh my, I cannot. It was so heavy for you. Want to reach out to another person that would have felt that. And I remember unfollowing Bill Simmons because he's a Patriots guy. Oh. And I go, you
can't see that in your feed.
I still think the 28-3 thing is hurtful. Still, don't laugh, dude.
So you're really open about your rehab and everything
100%.
You've done and everything you're going through and how you can help other people. But
nice transition.
It's the 28-3.
Oh yeah.
Well, right. So the 28-3, you're I can't talk about that. But so I went to rehab.
Yeah, we'll get into all that. We're hey, addiction and all that. Yeah, but let's not talk about the Patriots.
Yeah, 28-3, man. That was.
We're up in the. But why was that so? Or along the same line, people when I was going through my darkest days, people were writing me letters that I didn't know. In rehab, I'm not making this up. There's a bunch of people in there. When someone would get a piece of mail, it's it's like being at war. They would call your name over the intercom, you got a piece of mail. It was in the Wickenburg, Arizona, out in the desert.
Was that a proud moment, walking through?
Yes, and dude. It's in the Shawshank when you're getting off the bus.
I got a piece of mail today. Oh, no mail.
Well, they put John C. because you're not allowed to expose your last name. So it's your first name and your last initial.
Did anyone know you in rehab?
Well, no, but one time it was family week. You familiar with rehab?
No.
All right, well that's probably for the best. Family week, family week, your parents or your wife or your family comes to visit.
It's college parents' weekend.
Yeah, sure. Except no
you
can't
drinking. Take them to the bars.
Yeah, except no drinking. There's dorms though. But I was you're out on your own on an island over, and this guy's wife came, and she knew, which is pretty common.
That's about right.
And it was oh man, it was the best day of my life. No, okay, weirdo, dude. Yeah,
you're the one that made the
sign.
It
was Batman. Can they see this? Yeah. But I was oh, that's what I'm addicted to, not any kind of substances or I could. The minute I went in there, you could take all of that, but that I gotta have that.
So here's a weird transition. So is your love language words of affirmation? You need
I just
that,
took that test actually. Yeah, 100%. And words and service.
When did you learn that? How'd you learn it? Did you learn it in rehab? Did you know it beforehand?
Well, I grew up in church, obviously, so I was 5 love languages. I used to have a bit on my show people are this book changed my life. I was it took you 12 years of marriage to figure out your wife likes flowers and not hugs. What are you doing? Like, I learned my wife likes it when I take out the trash. Yeah, obviously, dude. She doesn't like massage time, you weirdo. Like, what are you doing?
You don't like this, honey? This is not for you?
No. Who does a massage like that, dude?
Probably that guy.
I wish if you're listening to the audio, you're not going to see what that is. But yeah.
They could make that up in their head. Please
yeah,
don't.
if you don't, like, if like, yeah, that's all. Like, I would really, like, when I struggle when, like, not struggle, I guess, but more less now than I used to, where, like, a video doesn't, like, my buddies, everybody was saying the worst possible things about me on the internet. Just, like, Fox News, CNN, Us Weekly, everybody. Yeah. And then the comment that hurt the worst is somebody was like, "Who's John Crist?"
You know, it's so funny you mentioned that.
Dude. Tough.
So we were at the Daytona 500, and I'm not going to name any drivers.
Last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we, the typical names get booed. Like Kyle Busch always gets booed. And you're like, oh, heck yeah. Or Kyle
I think
Larson
I know where this is going,
gets cheered.
Going. Yeah.
And then, like, some names come out, and there's just no sound. And you're like, that's way worse.
Way worse.
Way worse.
Way worse.
Like, emotionally, you're just like,
yep.
You can't hate me. You don't even know my name got called.
I remember in high school, we were at chapel. We went to Christian high, and they say the only thing worse than getting bullied is being ignored.
Like sitting at the lunch table alone.
Yes, and like the kid that gets bullied, like he's like, at least people know when I come to school. People know when I'm not there. And I was like, I didn't learn much in high school, but I remember that. And in rehab, we had the, what's it called? The New York Times. And I would, like, look to see if I was in there.
How long did it take you to stop doing that?
I mean, it was
like
wild.
On the way out?
Well, I was in 45 days at a place where I didn't have anything except a newspaper.
Okay.
But then I went to a place where then I had my cell phone back. And then I didn't have any social media or anything, but you could obviously had Google. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, people were just crushing me. And then
so what are you looking for when you do that, though? Like, why do you go? Obviously, you're looking for affirmation.
I'll tell you, this is way too serious. But they said it's called pain seeking, because when you get into rehab, all they would tell me was like, hey, you're a good man. You made some poor choices, but you're a good man. You're worthy of love. You're valuable. You're deserving of life. You're deserving of happiness. And I go, there's no way. And they would tell me all these things. You're a child of God. You're worthy. The only way anyone's ever going to get better is to realize they're good, not shame to be. This is turned into a sermon. Sorry. But bad. But then you go, I'm a good person. I'm a good. I mean, it's a new feeling.
Yeah. Well,
and then you get on all affirmations all day in rehab, and then you get your phone back at night, and you go, that can't be true. I want to go. I would look until I found somebody saying something horrific about me, because that was more comfortable. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes way too much sense.
Thank you, because that is how I feel about myself.
So you wanted to prove that you were right?
I was just uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable when people would say, I'm like, you're valuable. You're a child of God. I thought I was trash.
So how do you separate rehab building you up and telling you you're a good person and separating that from like, hey, what I did was wrong, though? And especially with the faith and spiritually being like, all right, I am a good person. God loves me.
I made some poor choices.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not a bad person.
Exactly.
And that's the separation. So we're like, I mean, we were in rehab, I remember, and Sam Hunt got a DUI. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, man, I want to reach out. Or when Morgan Wallen gets canceled, or I find myself being very, like, connected with those type of stories now.
Yeah,
and
empathy is real.
Or if somebody gets cut from a basketball team, or if somebody has an art, whether it be comedy, music, sports that they love to do, and their personal life, poor choices have come in between them being able to do that, my heart breaks for that person.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10. And I go, I wish, like, there's consequences for poor choices, sure. And I was working in churches, and my life was not lining up with that, and I don't do that anymore. I don't work in churches anymore. Fair. And that all makes sense. But there's consequences for actions. But you're not a bad person. So people commit suicide or go into depression when they think they are bad.
So
as a human.
Yeah. When did you reach, and then was it done separately? Like, did you have to learn here without God, like in rehab, like I'm a good person, and then bring God in and be like, yeah, no, God's loved me this whole time. Jesus has loved me this whole time. I've got to stop listening to people that don't matter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you it's like you can't really, like, if I've dated women that, like, they're like, you know, this girl's like a 10 or like a model of flex. Not really. and then
11.
No, yeah, or like this girl is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then, but they don't think that they are attractive, which is a pretty, they don't believe that. They look themselves in the mirror and I go, I can't convince you of this. I could say you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you're perfect, you're lovely, and if you don't believe it for yourself, you can't. You got to kind of get it for yourself. And so people would just drill it to me for 4 months. You're a good man. And then I got out of rehab, and women would be like, "Hey, like, you treated me with nothing but respect. You're like, you're a good guy." And you're like, "What?" And then fans, everybody around the city of Nashville, just wildly be like, "Hey," and everybody knew everything about me. And was like, "We love you, dude. We care about you." And I was like, what? It was so confusing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it is, but it is when you put when you're seeking negative affirmation that you're correct. So you're like,
and that started from when I was a kid. Because when you do something bad, go to your room, right? Or especially in church, dude. They were like, oh my, I could tell you all kind of stories about especially surrounding sex, just
for sure,
horrifically shameful. Like, you know, when a girl like comes to like youth camp and like she's wearing like a 2-piece and they put like that youth pastor like XXL shirt on her, like the shirt of shame, just like. And then we had a girl in our high school that was like, she like something very innocent, like her skirt was too short or something. She got written up for it, or let's say like made out with her boyfriend in
something pretty common in like the world, something like that a high school kid would do.
Yeah. And then at my like Christian school, she got labeled like a slut.
Right.
And then that kind of just
that's in your head as a kid, and you're like, kind of slutty, and then you feed off of it.
Yeah, and then you're just like, well, might as well just be this.
Yeah.
And then it like just kind of snowballs, and you're like, wait, this, like, we look back at our like, I was like a good kid. I still am.
Yeah, you've never changed. So why do you care what other people think? Like, where did that stem from? Especially people you don't know, and when you have a faith. So like, I don't care what other people think, and I don't mean that in like a tough kind of, but I do because I want to perform well and I want to have a good product that people like.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if someone doesn't like it, like, hey, cool, like change the channel. Like that's okay with me.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of my faith, and I know like I got to be the best me, and I know that versus like I got to be better than the guy on the screen on the other channel. Like you can't play that game.
That's gonna
go
exhausting.
Because there's only one best. There's only one.
Yeah.
People are always like, "That's my best friend." Oh, here's my best friend. Well, not really. Like one of them is.
One of them's not.
Yeah. It's like if you're chasing the best at all times, you're gonna wear yourself out.
Yeah. But that's also, wouldn't you say that, like, let's say Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods, like, they were obsessed with that, with being the best. They didn't care about anything else. And they cared what other people thought. Tremendously.
Absolutely.
But that also, if you look at all those guys, all those guys, from what I know, their personal lives are a disaster.
A mess.
Because
it's all this and it's none of this. It's like peripheral vision with your family. And it doesn't work.
Nah, it turns out.
Yeah. So guys.
Is that in your notes?
Apparently the whole jumper was more important than the family in my life.
Hindsight's
Weird.
2020.
Oops.
Well, we did like a sold out show in Tulsa on Friday. There was like sold out meet and greet, all this kind of stuff, and then like I was leaving with some friends to go like to Arkansas, and then I was like, all right, I gotta like turn that off. Now I'm just like we're sitting in the McDonald's drive-thru, and like we couldn't get like our food, and I was like, I'm not him anymore. There's no like road manager to be like, here's the ketchup. Like now you're just like a guy.
Yep.
And that was always tough. I would imagine that was tough for like guys like Tiger or Jordan. Is like, no, I'm not an average guy. I'm the king.
Because we talk about this a lot in sports. These kids have been coddled from day one.
Yes,
so that's always, what do you need? You don't need to pass this class to pass this class. You're going to be all right.
You're
going to be okay.
Somebody's got you. You're good. You have this superhuman skill.
Yeah.
We were
Hence,
laughing.
LeBron's got the chosen one on his back. Like, you
He's
can
like,
jump high, you know.
What he does the thing.
Yeah, like, the chosen one.
I always imagine if you like if like someone from like, like some jungle, you like brought them, and you're like, they'd be like, okay, so what? What?
Who are you? And you do what? Why?
You throw this ball through the thing?
Yeah.
What exactly? Yeah.
That's weird.
We were laughing yesterday about me and my buddy Luke about the when they come on, they're like, they talk like this, like they put their hand over there, like,
Yep.
and we were at like if you're LeBron, you're talking to Kevin Durant at like the All-Star game about like free agency this summer, maybe you do this. Mm-hmm. Where at what line does
like where are you just like
like the Arkansas Pine Bluff game, and they're like, hey man, like do it.
Is that the kid on the like if you and I were just walking around the bar like
it's like Belmont versus Lipscomb in baseball. Like,
well, when the pitchers always put their
like
glove
can they
face.
do that in high school? They're like, hey dude,
you do, and then your coach is like, dude, you throw 74, just stop that. Like you're not fooling anybody.
There's no cameras here.
Yeah, they're gonna go back and look at this. You're not fooling anyone anyway. Just throw it down.
He's like, hey man. Oh yeah, they like because that's for the cameras, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Those long range cameras. And
it's not for high school kids.
No,
I'll tell you that
probably
much.
Not for. And then somebody would be watching in the dugout and then go tell the manager what he's gonna do.
Well, it's mostly for like, hey, if you see him just fastball outside, someone can read the lips from the dugout and be like, hey, it's coming fastball outside.
And if if coaches do it in the NFL, they're doing this.
It's paranoia.
As
what
you think someone's watching on the other side.
The NFL is different because it's so fast. So you can say fast.
But it's tape delayed, isn't it? For a couple seconds.
Yeah,
7 seconds.
It's already happened by the time it hits air.
That's it. Got to get to somebody else. The other guy's got to watch it.
We should
tell
get
the coach.
Belichick on here and ask him.
Yeah, we should ask him.
He knows how the cameras work.
He's on it next week. He's on your podcast next week. That's a funny idea, though. That's like a funny comedy bit. If you like do that, like a husband and wife start doing that. Like,
the kids are around.
Or I'm doing that at church league. Hey, dude. Dude, you got to go to Chili's after? Or you want to go to Applebee's? It's like, dude, no one cares.
Who's guarding that guy? Nobody's guarding
terrible,
that guy.
dude.
No one's guarding you, John.
Nobody. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's like the idea that everybody you want to be great at your job, right? Mm-hmm. And if everyone says, hey, like, we love, like, I always like those guys that are like very, very, on Twitter, very, very conservative or very, very left wing or right wing.
Right.
I feel like people started saying some stuff, and then people go, we like that. And then you just kind of
keep going. How far can I go?
But both ways.
100%.
Both ways.
For sure.
Like, hey, we like when you talked about the NBA. All right, we'll go that way. Or we like my comedy career. I grew up in church. My dad's a pastor. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I was homeschooled, all those things. I started just telling jokes at the comedy club. And then I like told a joke about growing up in church and my name's a Bible. I was a Bible name. And then this guy came to the comedy club and he was like, hey, we have a youth group at our church. Do you want to come do this thing there? I go. He was like, we'll pay you $300. I was the richest man on earth. I thought it was a sultan, dude. I was like, yes. So I did it. And then people liked it. And then I was like, I made a joke I remember about, you ever been to like church when they put the code of the name of the kid up on the screen?
They're like kids
64G95 Alpha 7. I was like, that's a child, dude. He's like it's, and then it was funny, and everyone in his church was like, that was hilarious. So I kind of just went there because those people loved me and still do. But I was like, that's hilarious. But what's crazy is I would consider myself to be a conservative, but as a comedian, you kind of got to stay honest so you can roast both sides.
For sure.
And every time I have like a joke about like, let's say unemployment or like maybe cancel culture, which are traditionally like right-wing ideas to make fun of, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
And those just go wildly, like on Facebook, just huge.
Especially when you were canceled. So
Also, So those everybody's like, yeah, cancel culture of and so you're like, all right, I kind of like wildly financially, like, and a lot of views, a lot of shares, and you're like, you could, without any honesty or anyone keeping you could just go over there.
How do you
go down that
How do you
road.
not do that? Like, does your faith play a role in that? Because I have my faith. The way I have a tough time, and people will laugh at this probably just the way I was younger, but like I have a tough time roasting a player, being like, this dude sucks. Like he needs to be off the roster because like that's a human being.
Yep.
We talk like film don't lie.
No.
But also like, is it for me to go on television and just destroy a human being?
Hey,
this
you
way?
know who has already heaped 10 times more shame on himself?
That guy.
100%. I assure you.
Yes.
He already feels way worse than anything you could. That's for my situation.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's nothing you could possibly say to me that would make me feel more worse than I already have about myself.
What made you feel the worst? And because I think you and I talked about this at the kickball tournament that we were at with.
Yeah, and I was trying to warm up, and I was crying with you. I was like, dude, can we not right here?
It was a tough right
in the
field.
Outfield?
The right field wasn't very good defensively that day. But like, and I said, and I don't know who said it, or you said it, or I said it, but it was, to me, it was the hypocrisy that ticked people off.
Yeah.
It wasn't like John was attracted to a female. Like, no way.
That wasn't the headline in the news.
No,
that wasn't that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Male thinks
If you ask,
female's pretty. Right. Next.
Wants to hang out with female.
Oh, he was a church guy.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm going back to this
canceled.
story.
Yeah.
Well,
we talked about like if there was like a health or nutritionist, and they were like you saw them like in line at McDonald's.
Right.
You'd be like, nope, and you'd want to crush them.
100%.
And the same with when everybody crushed the politicians for not wearing masks. When they told everybody, do we care about people not wearing a mask at dinner with your friends? No.
Nope.
But
Don't
why?
make me.
But why? No. Why do we care? Because you told us
Exactly.
that we had to.
So
So it's the hypocrisy
Yeah.
that would drive it. I mean, that's my whole act. Is like,
and then you were that guy.
yes, the king. I was the king of being that guy. And in that sense, you're like fair.
When did you realize you were that guy?
The whole time. But you can't.
Did you ever admit it?
No, I can't be honest with yourself. That's the problem with what they'll teach you in like therapy or rehab. Is like they don't tell you nothing. You just be honest with yourself.
And they force you to be honest.
Like I would think that.
What was the moment like? The first moment you were honest with yourself. Like, what'd that feel like?
You know what, dude? I remember this exactly when I went in there. Is like everybody got the wrong story. Everybody's misinformed. These girls are just jealous or mad at church or religion, and that's probably part of it. But then they go, hey, and then you're learning about your brain and addiction, and then you go, oh, I could see why they would probably be mad.
Yeah.
I go, huh, you go, even if if you like brought a girl like over to your hotel room or something, you're like, hey, like you're like, and then that person has been like either lied to before from men or been cheated on or anything like that. You're like, oh, I could see how this would checks out.
This is gonna go bad.
And then at the beginning, you're like, all right, maybe I'll give them like 1%. Like I'm 1% responsible. And then through the course of the whole thing, you're like, all right, I could see this being 50-50. And then you're like, the only way you'd ever get like any kind of healing or any kind of, it's like you're like, that was on me. 100%.
So when you're going through this, being truthful with yourself,
Yeah.
and you're suicidal,
Yeah.
prior to that, during it, or after?
During it was going deeper and deeper and deeper. Because as soon as I got the first viral video I ever had, the reason why people had always come canceled to try to cancel comedians, like you don't think there's people cheating on their wives in country music?
Yeah, right.
Come on. Or athletes. But why comedians? Why comedians? Do you know? Yeah, you do.
What is it?
Why did everybody come for the comedians?
Well,
Because comedians have gotten crushed.
do they? Not that they don't, but do they more than anybody? Because everybody loves to crush everybody these days, and it's just.
Well, the comedians. Well, I'll tell you what. The comedians are the only people telling you the truth.
The truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody has a problem with Jason Aldean singing about dirt roads, and I don't know him personally, but there's no the opposite. There's no opposition.
There's no other side to take. Like, no, I'm a concrete road
But when
guy.
you go, a comedian is going, hey,
yes,
look at this about this industry or this politician or this group of people or this group of everything. Come on.
They felt personally
Yes,
it was about
dude.
them. It became about them.
The first time I
they
ever
canceled people because of themselves.
Yes, that's why the hypocrisy. Same
Yeah.
thing. The first time I ever had a viral video is the first time I ever started being canceled. It was probably 10 years ago.
Was that the
First
coach
time.
one?
No, way before that. It was called Christian Girl Instagram. It was a video. I mean, think about this. It was a video because I scroll Instagram. There's so many like Bible laid out, coffee cup with like steam coming off, like fresh cup of granola and like a highlighter, notes, Beth Moore book, looking over a sunrise. Just this perfectly ornate photo.
Yes.
And I go, that took 30 minutes.
Is produced.
It took you took more time to produce that than you did reading the Bible. And that's what the joke was, how to get more likes on your Bible photos. And it was imagine if you did that. Mm-hmm. And then you saw, and you posted those on your Instagram, and they were scrolling Instagram, and then you saw, and somebody shared my video.
Right.
Dude, that is so wildly offensive. Is it not?
I mean, I post
Not to you, but
Right.
to someone who does that. Mm-hmm. It's so wildly offensive that you go, I get this. This is an uncomfortable, get this. Mm-hmm. They will look for any chance they can to crush the comedian.
because they see themselves in that moment.
Yes.
They don't like that, and that's your fault.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't come to my show and like it's like Family Guy. You ever watch Family Guy?
Yeah.
I like that show, but they make fun of Jesus.
Yeah, you can
I
see
go,
the humor in it.
Ah, man, but you either can watch it or don't watch it. Mm-hmm. You can't be like, yes, hilarious, 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 hilarious. No.
Right.
Because it's just tough. Because he's now coming after the thing that you are. But it's funny when it's all the other things.
And that's a whole different political discussion. It's like,
Yeah.
do you defend free speech when it's something that you love?
Yeah.
And then you're like, nah, you want to cancel people when it's not what you love. Then all of a sudden it's going to come back to you eventually.
Yes, because then the other party is going to get into power.
Exactly.
And then they're going to do the same thing to you. Right?
Yeah, exactly. People are really short-sighted, but that was a tangent because when did you get off the ledge from a suicidal standpoint and the truth and knowing who you are and what got you off the ledge? Was it spiritual? Was it God?
Well, okay. So the first like 3 weeks of rehab they call like a blackout period. So there's no phone calls, no getting mail, no nothing. See, and I went in and like the height of like just being absolutely crushed publicly everywhere. Mm-hmm. And like in the airport, it was like, it was horrific. The news was knocking on my door in my house and stuff like that.
Jeez.
And so I was like, those were the darkest. Those 3 weeks, it was like, it's over. Like I might as well not. Why try to get better? It's over. That's what I thought. It was not true.
Right. Well, sure. How?
I got a letter, or I got a note from a voicemail note after 3 weeks. It said John C. up on the board. I always talk about the story. It said John C. up on the board. And I go, I think I got a piece of letter. And they said, your parents are coming to see you. And it was like, it was so...
Had you seen them since it all went down?
No. I mean, no, the day of, they were at my house, but then I went to rehab like the next day.
What was it? This is fascinates me because
Yeah.
I love my parents. My parents and I are very close.
Yeah.
But I would be ashamed if
Yeah.
they found out some certain things.
Of course.
You know, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm sure they would be too if I found out some certain
course.
things, right? Like, we're all human beings.
Well-
What was that like to you? Like, when your parents found out, were you just,
Oh, my.
like,
It was
distraught?
horrible. Yes, dude. Everything and worse. Everything and worse. That you go, I had to send what I did. I mean, it was like I just sent a group text to my family.
This was required via...
No. Before I knew the article was coming out the next day. And I go, hey, everybody with the last name Crist, who like is in their community, whatever they do for a living is they're John's brother, John's mom, or John, like everybody knows that they're. Mm-hmm. No, I thought I was a bigger deal than I was. Obviously, that they were like, their lives are going to be destroyed. They're like, yeah, we're fine.
But was that what it was about, or was it about the fact like, hey, this is the real me. This is who I am.
Yeah, you should hear. I mean, they all knew about that. They knew that about me. Mm-hmm. All my family did.
Yeah.
But
Parents?
now but now it's just coming out. Everyone in my personal life knew all that stuff, but it was just coming out publicly. And you like, you had to like tell. I told the story at the when I was so surprised that I was overcome with emotion. I started crying when my parents just said they were coming to see me. Mm-hmm. And I told the story before. You're like, yeah, dude. I go, I embarrassed my family. Like they want to disown me. They want to be nothing to do with me. Or like, where'd you get that idea? Like you have kids?
No,
you don't have kids. You have parents.
Don't think so. Yes.
All right. Well, like what? They go, where did you get the idea that your child is fighting for his life, that your parents wouldn't come help you? Why would I think that?
I mean,
where did that come from?
The embarrassment, I'm sure, the overwhelming
my
amount
dad's
of
a
like
pastor and a politician,
who would
and
affect,
like yeah. But they like I was in a conversation with a friend, because now I'm like on the opposite side of this. Like, there's no shame, and everybody knows everything about it. It's a very free way to live. And I was talking to this girl, and she said, it's like if you're not a Christian, this wouldn't really make sense, but like people prioritize like being a virgin in Christianity, and
it's like the pinnacle of Christianity.
which is
it's like the best way to be a Christian.
On paper.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
that's
so she was like not a virgin, right? And I go, this is what I said, because I'm on this other side. I go, your parents know that? And this is what she said. She said, well, my mom knows, and we both agreed to never tell Dad. But think about that. Why? And why would you? You know what I'm saying? That was like when she was 18 or 19 years old. Now she's in her 30s. So you have this conditional relationship with your father now.
Yep.
Thinking, oh, he sends me flowers on my birthday. I go visit him. And then, but the only reason you're living like that is if he knew, he would.
Isn't that so?
That's not true. I go tell him. I'll call. Give me your phone. I'll call him and tell him. Not really, but like, it makes me so sad that people still live 100%. Like that. Because you go, oh, so this is a conditional relationship now with the person that loves you on earth the most. And if you said you lost your virginity at 19,
it's over.
And now you're 35, and for the last 16 years, if dear Dad cared anything for you, he would give you the biggest hug and go, I'm so sorry.
But isn't that like the coolest thing about faith, though?
Yeah.
That, like, Jesus loves you no matter what, and like we know that, like no matter, it has nothing to do with what you've done. You can say 7 Hail Marys, or whatever you are, whatever it is. It's irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
It has nothing. You can't make God love you more. You can't make God love you less.
No. And if you, I go, and if you told your dad that after 16 years, that he goes, wow, I never want to have anything to do with you. You don't want to be with that guy anyway.
Exact, right.
Like people all the time, like now, if you're like, hey, you've read about me or learned about me and you deemed what have done to be too, we're good.
We're good. Okay. We're okay with this. We're never going to see eye to eye, and that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah, if somebody's like, hey, this guy plays too much Call of Duty, you're like, hey, we're fine.
It's much of a COD guy. It's COD, and you wouldn't understand, but it's all right. One day,
we're good.
We're
good. Yeah.
When did you get to the point where you wanted to share your story? So the way I view this is you're allowing your struggles to be a blessing for others and sharing this and helping them, because I think that is extremely powerful. Greg Olsen, tight end for the Panthers, now retired.
Let's go. Yeah.
We have his story.
Yeah.
And he talks about how like his son's heart disease, like we weren't going to let that go to waste. We were going to use his heart disease to help other people. So they opened up Levine's Children's Hospital and like a center and all this stuff.
100%. Yeah.
So when did you get to that point? And like how much has your purpose rehab changed to post rehab to maybe that?
Well, I mean, when you have I probably got 10 pieces of mail a day, and just stacks of mail, and people were like, every story was the exact same. Everybody that burned their life to the ground. Everybody was like, I got a DUI. I ruined my marriage. I lost my job because of this. And they were so overwhelmed that they were like, they had to reach out to me. Mm-hmm. And now the same thing happens to me. So I see these other people and I go, oh, like the girl that was like a virgin but keeping a secret. I go, I don't think I'm like trying to, I don't know, carry my, I go, oh, it's so much better over here.
Yeah.
Just like if you like these pair of like boots, you're
Indeed.
like, you would tell everybody that you're like, if this is the most unbelievable pair of boots ever, you'd be like, hey,
But there's no shame in me wearing these boots.
Sure, yeah, maybe you're right.
Society,
You're right.
there's a lot of shame with what you went through, and like you could have just been like, "Oh, I got some money. I'm good. I don't need to deal with everybody." You could have gone like the whole "f you" to the world, but you decided to come.
I still kind of want to. No, not really.
But you literally you do the exact opposite. Like you go on stage and you're like, "No, here I was suicidal." Like that for a man in particular to talk about that.
Yeah,
I had this drinking problem. I had a sexual problem. And like, hey, this is all about me, but like, I'm here doing this for you right now. Have you felt your purpose change?
If you loved part 1 with John Crist, you're certainly about to love part 2. It was that good. It was worth splitting up into 2 parts. But now I need your help. If you could just give us 5 stars, the like, the subscribe, do that for us, and please share with your friends and family as well. We'll see you on part 2 in just a little bit.